Hey guys, how you doing? It's Electric Jet again. Um, how do I start off? I want to start off with it's been a very interesting couple of weeks, to say the least. Um, with all the peaceful protests and then the riots and you know President Trump saying things in a manner in which I don't think he should have said them. I understand where he's coming from. You have to show some authority. You have to be able to let the country know that things are being handled, but you have to reassure them that things are going to be handled correctly. You can't just go in there pounding your chest like a silverback ape. You can't do that. Sorry, President Trump, but you shouldn't have done it that way. That photo op that happened at Lafayette Park, come on. Peaceful protesters. Really? You're going to basically abuse all those people that were protesting peacefully. Not one aggressive protester there. You went after the press. You went after you went after the people. You had disregard for human decency to do that just for a photo op. Okay, well, that was wrong in my opinion. I understand the message you're trying to get out there. I'm not a Trump supporter, guys. Don't get me wrong. And even though I didn't vote for him, that doesn't negate the fact that he's my president. So I try to understand what he's trying to do. I try to understand his thinking. I really think he needs better writers because that man cannot do a speech if his life depended on it. I am very concerned about what's going on in the country right now. I love the fact that there's organized peace protests, and I love that, and that's what needs to be done. But unfortunately, there's those select few that are organized fucking rioters. How do you end up with pallets of bricks at a protest? Somebody is trying to angst up the protesters to get violent. You have a select few out there that do want to create anarchy. I think you need to find out who they are. The poor retired officer that got killed in front of a pawn shop. Really? That's some bullshit right there. You know? That's some bullshit right there. Just like Officer Chauvin needs to go to jail for the rest of his life for what he did to George Floyd. The people that killed that retired officer, they need to go to jail for the rest of their lives too. But let me ask you a question, Minneapolis. How is stuff like that supposed to be accomplished without a police department? My whole thing with this entire situation is not that we don't need police. We need the police. We do. We just need to retrain them. Who are going to stop your drunk drivers? Who's going to investigate, drugs? Who's going to investigate the people that are bringing in drugs? Oh, that's going to stop automatically because there's no more police? Who's going to pull over the speeders? What are you going to do about the gangs? You know what this is going to feed into? This is going to feed into vigilanteism. Did you know that there was a law there's a bill trying to be passed? The no lynch law? Y'all need to read that. Because what you're doing right now is setting it up to get lynch mobs out there. What the hell is wrong with you? You are focused. Again, just like people have their blinders on to white privilege, and people have their blinders on to police brutality. Right now, you're having your blinders on to reality. The reality of the fact is we do need the police. The police are an integral part of society. They help check and balance what's going on. Just because we got a few bad apples don't mean the whole thing is bad. There have been some bad examples of during these peaceful protests, like the old man that got knocked down by the cop and walked by him. That's wrong. But that's obviously wrong. That's common sense wrong. This is where I'm talking about training is needed. The police need to learn how to interact with the public, and they don't have a clue. But whose fault is that? I'm going to tell you whose fault that is. That is squarely on our shoulders. To all you people that don't vote, that's more your fault than anybody's fault. It's our obligation to get out there and vote. That's how we make a difference. Now, this move they're doing up in Minneapolis, this is some. It's stupid. You're going to defund the police? Excuse me, where are those funds going to go to? Because I know you're not going to lower the taxes. So the people in Minneapolis and in Minnesota are all still going to get taxed the same, but now the funds aren't going to go to the police. Whose pockets are those funds going to go into? You're going to let the people police themselves? So basically, you're going to encourage everyone to get a gun and protect themselves? And now you're going to have people out there. What, are you going to make the gun laws easier? I'm a gun owner, but I feel I'm a responsible gun owner. But there's so many people out there that are not responsible. Who is going to monitor those people? You're going to have a mob go after them? You know what a mob is? That's a lynch mob. What we need is to reevaluate the laws and retrain our officers. That's what we need. Get rid of the bad officers with the bad attitudes, the officers that have multiple charges against them, multiple complaints against them. They must be doing something wrong. Because I've met a lot of good officers, and I've met a lot of bad officers. It's not hard to figure out. It's common sense. But you, average citizen, you're being led astray. We need the police. We do. But we need them to be retrained. We don't need to defund, because if you agree with this defunding of the police department, then you're a lot less educated than most people think. Is the average citizen going to pull over the other average citizen when they're speeding down the street, or they're going 35 miles an hour down a 15-mile-an-hour school zone, plow into some kids? Who's going to do all that investigation? When a murder happens, who's going to be there? The average citizen? Or let me ask you this. Are you going to go with a private security company? Oh, this ought to be a fucking hoot. You need to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the bigger picture. Because if you don't, shit is going to slip through your fingers. And then once it's all gone, is when you're going to say to yourself, oh shit, damn. Don't get involved with the violence. Don't get involved. Don't fall for the violence. Don't get involved with the people that want to do organized violence against the city and against the police. The police are there to protect us. We just have to remind them of that. The police need to remember what the laws are. They need to be taught. You can't just pull over somebody because they're black, because they're Hispanic, because they wear baggy clothes, because their pants hang off their ass. You can't pull them over just for that. And on that same token, you can't let all these white-collar crimes that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars, they can't just get off scot-free. You're going to give 10 years to somebody selling an ounce of weed. You're gonna give them 10 years. But someone that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars gets a slap on the wrist or an ankle bracelet to stay at home. How is that fair? Common sense wise, it makes no sense. Like I said, things need to be reevaluated. Laws need to be changed. Sentences need to be, readjusted on the severity. Murder. How a murder is going to be investigated without a fucking police department? In the police department, you have the coroners that investigate that investigates the dead bodies. You have the criminal investigators. They work with the police. All right. You have the forensic specialists. They work with the police. Who's going to do all this? Who's going to put all this in order? The average citizen? I don't think so. What you're setting yourself up for right now is anarchy. And to be very truthful, I hope the governor tells you you guys are fucking idiots. I hope the Minnesota governor, because you used to have a really good governor. I like Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura would not have gone for this. Of course, he wouldn't have gone for the police brutality either. Now you're forcing people's hands. You know they're going to have to bring, if you shut down the police department, they're going to have to bring the National Guard in. Somebody's going to have to, hold the peace. So you want Trump to do it. Take the blinders off. Don't go from one extreme to the other. You gotta find a balance. You have to find that middle ground. Because if you go from one extreme, it's like when you're first learning how to drive, you oversteer. And then you start panicking. Don't oversteer this. Just stay on the straight and narrow. Because right now you're going from one extreme to the other and it's not the right move. We need the police. But we need them to be retrained. We need them, and the new recruits that come in, they can't be trained in 9 months. They can't be trained in 6 months. You need to take a couple of years to train these people. If they really want to be police and they want to help the public, they need to understand what that means to protect and to serve. That should be first and foremost on their mind. To protect and serve the public. To preserve the rights of every individual. That's every individual. And a big part of the problem is you have a lot of cops out there that don't understand the law and think that they can take the law into their own hands. They have a misconception of the law. Do you know how many videos I've seen where cops constantly ask for ID for no reason? And they think they can just because they're cops? They need to be re-educated. This is part of the problem. It's the training they're going into. And I'll bring up a case that happened a while ago. I think it was in 2017. I was talking with my wife about it earlier. Daniel something. The white guy that got shot in the hotel. That's classic. Daniel Shavers. Murdered in front of his wife. The cop got away with it. But guess who works on the council, the city council? Oh my God, the cop's dad. Okay? He got away with shooting an unarmed man. He got shot in front of his wife. Basically execution style. This is faulty training. And this was a white guy. Okay? And it happens more to minorities, but the fact maybe this one will ring to you. This is about training, and you have to take less lethal options than using a gun. Why is it police only have guns instead guns and pepper spray? There got to be something in there too, something in between there. There's plenty of other ways to disarm people. So again, this is about training. We need to re-educate the police. We need to retrain them, and then we need a longer training system. And you really do got to get rid of the bad seeds. You got to get rid of the people that have multiple complaints on them. There's got to be something going on when you have a police officer with 17 complaints. At the very least, they have to go for a reevaluation. And here's another food for thought. Why would you have the police the police? You can have citizens police the police. Instead of having the police investigate police, then you go into the private sector and you have evaluate the police. So they should not be monitoring themselves. This would, in my opinion, create checks and balances. This would keep people on the up and up. Okay, like I said, I'm just an average citizen that's worried about my country, that wants to continue to have his freedoms, that loves the idea of the United States of America. Okay? Anyway, that's my thoughts. Peace.